The fall 2004 anime season was a pretty interesting season that gave us some iconic anime and some really great anime. Some of the anime that came out that season were Bleach, Beck Mongolian Chop Squad, School Rumble, Genshiken, and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. And that's just to name a few. And also, there was another anime that came out in fall 2004 that I want to talk about today in this video, and that is Desert Punk. Now let's talk about this 2004 comedy anime Desert Punk, and let's just talk about the whole world of Desert Punk and what exactly it's about. Now, Desert Punk was a comedy anime that takes place in a post-apocalyptic world in Japan, where it's been turned into a desert. The land is filled with mercenaries, gangs, a new corrupt government, and people just trying to make a living. The anime follows a character named Desert Punk, who is one of the top mercenaries in the Kanto Desert. This anime is a very hilarious anime that also has a lot of action, wacky moments. The dub makes this anime so good. If you're gonna watch this anime, please watch the dub because the dub is so goddamn funny. So the main thing that really happens in Desert Punk is it follows the main character Kanta, who's also named Desert Punk. And the thing about Kanta is he calls himself the #1 handyman like in the Kanto Desert region, but the thing is he's really not that strong. And you see throughout the series when it comes to Desert Punk, he has a very unusual way of fighting, because when he takes on new jobs, most of the time the people that he's going to like hunt down, they're usually better than him. Because like what he actually does is he uses a whole bunch of different tricks and a lot of different tactics to actually beat people. One of his main go-to tricks that he uses a lot throughout the series is that he has balloon replicas of himself, and people usually think there's a whole bunch of different Desert Punks whenever he does that trick, and that's one of the things that he uses a lot throughout the series, and it usually does trick people because they'll go shoot like the balloon instead of him, and that's how you can usually get the advantage of people. Yeah, he does a lot of really unique things when it comes to just like some of the fights that he gets into. And also there is a little bit of strategy when it comes to him winning some of these battles, because like the thing about the main character is he gives off that he's a very dumb, horny character, but when it comes to gunfights, he's usually able to outsmart his opponent, and that's like one of the interesting things about him. But like when it comes to the main character, we got to talk about him because yes, he's dumb at times, but just know he's a very horny character, like very like the man is down bad throughout like the whole show, because there's this woman that's introduced in this show. Her name's Junko, and the thing about her is you could think of her kind of like as a gold digger. She's trying to get that money, and also she does manipulate people a lot, because the thing about her is she manipulates Desert Punk a lot of the time, mainly because like when these two first meet, she kind of tricks Desert Punk, and then from that moment on, this man says he wants to get his payback against Junko. So throughout the whole series, you're gonna see like how she kind of just displays her body, and this is like how the show kind of like gives off with its fan service and all that, like mainly through her most of the time, because like they usually show off her body, and that's one of the things she'll usually use against Desert Punk, because like she'll show off her body and then Desert Punk would like fall for it, because like she'll usually trick him in some type of way, because she'll be like, oh, I finally let you touch my body or something like that. And that's usually when Desert Punk falls for whatever trap that she actually has, because usually she's just manipulating him and like trying to use him that she can get either some money or just get whatever she wants. And that's kind of like how their banter is throughout the series. Yeah, they do get closer and closer, because there is something that happens towards the end of the series where they kind of do work together because of a certain thing that happens though. Because like the crazy thing is like realistically his whole main goal in this series really is just to sleep with Junko or any other girl that he gets the chance to. So one of the other things that happens in this series is Desert Punk gets his own apprentice, but just know it kind of starts off to a rocky relationship, mainly because the girl that becomes his apprentice, she already had like a master, and her master was like the greatest sniper like in the whole desert, but Desert Punk ends up beating him. So from that moment she's like, you know what, let me be your apprentice. And at first like Desert Punk's not really rocking with that, but after she shows Desert Punk a picture of like her quote-unquote mom, and that's when you have Desert Punk come up with a very weird and wild idea where he basically wants to groom her until she's older, but then at the same time the girl is essentially using Desert Punk too, because one, she wants to like train under him, and she also wants to become like one of the best in the desert. So that's kind of how their relationship is at first, where they're both basically just using each other, and Desert Punk the whole time like he really is on some wild ass grooming shit. Like I said, when it comes to the main character, he's not a good person at all, and throughout the whole show you're gonna realize like he has no redeeming qualities at all, because he's a horny motherfucker and he's very weird, and it's like, dog, he realistically should be locked up because he's always doing people dirty. But then at the same time, you know, this is a post-apocalyptic world, and just know almost everybody in the world of Desert Punk has some type of problems, mainly because like people kill each other in this series a lot of the time. So it's like you can tell that people will have problems in here, because one, it's a desert wasteland. Now the final 5 episodes of the series start to take a turn with it getting more serious, along with it still having the comedy aspect of the anime. What happens is that Desert Punk dies, and with him dying now, Kusuna now becomes the top handyman in the Kanto Desert. She even gets her own apprentice, and she starts taking on jobs along with using some of the same tactics and the same strategies that Desert Punk used. Where it really starts to get dark is when a guy that sold special equipment to Desert Punk and Kusuna, he ends up getting getting killed in a fire along with 3 of his kids, while the other 3 kids are gravely injured. And Kasuna, she ends up being part of the resistance against the government, so they go on a mission to save this scientist. And that's when it's revealed that Desert Punk is still alive, but now he's acting as a villain because he's working for the government. And also for some reason he has a do-rag on, and it's so goddamn funny because he pulls up with a do-rag and I'm just like, why is this nigga got a do-rag on now? And it's just funny just seeing him in a do-rag. And one of the interesting things about the final episode is it basically ends with Kasuna and Desert Punk being on different sides. And also Desert Punk has a whole bunch of robots that are now on his side since he's working with the government. One of the things I forgot to talk about, that also in this Desert Punk world, like there's robots, and like the robots are just like from the time before like the Kanto desert all became like a desert. This was like back when like the world was normal and all that, because it's kind of applied that like a war or something exactly happened that like made the world turn exactly like this. And like also like one of the main causes probably was like the robots, along with like some of these other older weapons that are from like the dark times, you could say. And the anime really ends with just those two being on different sides, with Kanti being on the government and Kasuna just being with the resistance and everybody else. Besides at the very end where we get a whole bunch of different scenes just showing us what exactly all the characters are up to at the very end. And you know, after that we never got nothing else about Desert Punk when it comes to the anime. Yes, there was still a manga, and I saw that the manga ended in 2020, so like there was probably a whole bunch of different hiatus because the manga came out in 1998 and then it said it went all the way to 2020, but I'm guessing there was more than likely a whole bunch of hiatuses or breaks in between them years. And I'm like, there's no way this shit was ongoing for that long. This shit is most definitely not One Piece, so I'm just guessing there most definitely had to be some hiatus in between that span of years. But I've only seen a little bit of things that happens in the manga, some of the arcs, and then like some of the characters age, because I like when it comes to like the girl Kasuna, I see that she eventually becomes 27 at the very end of the series. And it really sucks that we never got like a continuation of Desert Punk like in anime. Like, why did they not drop another season? Especially because they low-key kind of left us on a cliffhanger-ish, because like you have these two characters on different sides now, and it's just like, dog, that's how you just gonna end your series? It's like, yeah, we do get like them little quick scenes just showing what the characters are up to, but at the same time it's like, that's how you end it, and then we don't get nothing ever, and then like we don't even get mention of another anime ever coming anytime in the future. So it just really sucks that Desert Punk never really got another season. Like, it most definitely does need another season. And let's say if it actually did get another season, like, would it actually be the same? It's 20 years later, and it's like, would it really be the same? Will we get some of the same jokes that are in here? Because there's some wild ass shit that they say in Desert Punk. Like, it be on some wild shit. I will say that there's some wild shit that's hilarious. And you know, the time we live in now, would the dub staff actually like follow everything that's said there, or would they change some things up? Because, you know, they might change some things up, because some of the stuff they say in Desert Punk in 2004 is some of the stuff that they more than likely wouldn't say in 2025. So I don't know. I do want another season, but who knows if it ever could get another season, especially with this anime being 20 years old. I don't know if we'll ever even get anything. I don't even know if people really care that much about Desert Punk, but like, honestly, I wish it would get another season, that we could finally just like finish the whole series. Now, this series also did have a lot of interesting side characters, because you have the Machine Gun Brothers, and like they love machine guns, and most of the time whenever you see them in the mission, most of the time they're just shooting their guns. And also they have a little sister that basically grew up with Kanti, and like her name is Nasako. Like, when we first meet her, we see that she's working with the new government that's in this world, but then she finds out they're also corrupt, and she ends up forming a resistance like with her brother and some of the other people that are in the desert, and they end up doing certain things just to keep the desert safe from like the government or any other type of like evil thing. And that's mainly what they really do throughout the series. That's like at the very end, like how they go to save that scientist because they know they need that scientist guy. But Desert Punk is a really great comedy anime. Yes, at times I will say it can be very extreme, and the main character Desert Punk, he ain't shit, and like he's not a redeemable character at all, because he has a lot of very bad qualities. Like, I'll say a lot of very, very bad, because like his whole main goal in the whole series really is just to sleep with Junko no matter what. Like, that's his whole main thing, and he wants revenge on her. And you just see throughout the series like he be on some wild shit. Just know, whenever there's any type of women that show up in this series, just know he's always down bad for them, and he always wants to find a way that he can get something from them, or he can sleep with them. And that's kind of just like his main goal throughout the whole series. If you actually think about it, he just wants to sleep with a whole bunch of different women and just have money and do all this other stuff. So like, you just see that he really ain't shit, and you kind of just see that his mindset kind of comes from this world that he lives in, because like it's a barren wasteland, and majority of people that are in this world, they really ain't shit, because I mean, they're living in a desert wasteland, and like everybody has to fend for themselves. Now, I will say there are some reoccurring characters that are really funny. It's like in the first episode, you meet this family that has like this mom and this dad and this one little girl. Just know they show up multiple times throughout the series. Just know it's pretty fun, and just know the little girl usually says something that's kind of hilarious when it relates to the situation those three are usually in. But I really do like Desert Punk because this is a really funny comedy anime. If you've never seen Desert Punk, go do yourself a favor and go watch it, because this anime is so goddamn funny and hilarious.